Nashville, a city that boasts its southern hospitality, is greeting its tourists with scenes like this and this. If you don't live in Nashville or you have somehow been immune to the homeless problem here, prepare to be shocked by what we're about to show you. The homeless can be seen making their way up Broadway, mingling with tourists and locals alike, looking for drinks, dining, and live music. And while this may be the most visible side of Nashville's homeless problem for outsiders, it is far from the only location.
A city with more than 15,000 acres of parks and greenways finds homeless there too, along with their trash and evidence of drug use. You'd be hard-pressed to travel most any high-traffic intersection in Nashville without encountering panhandlers. Fox 17 News relentlessly covering the high cost of homelessness for more than a year. Tonight, a report card on the progress and what's still left to be done.
Right now, Nashville sees its fourth homeless camp close in less than 2 years. Dumpsters and signs surrounding the property behind the Truck Stops of America, the old site downtown beside James Robertson Parkway. Now, the State Department of Transportation, which owns that property, forced the people out.
But that's the end of the agency's involvement.
What we are doing is working with Metro and working with Metro Police to make sure that there are people there are officers there.
TDOT says the agency is bringing in hazmat crews to clean up the mess left behind.
Now, that said, until a few days ago, Metro government had not closed a homeless camp since back in March.
Well, the city just started phase 2 of its homeless plan, leaving some asking, why did it take so long for Metro to act?
Jefferson Street, the first camp to close in Nashville, shutting down in February of last year after dozens of people called this home for years. While Metro said they found housing for everyone living under the bridge, other camps seemingly grew.
They've expressed frustrations with trash, drug needles, fires. What is your department doing to address those concerns?
Next on Metro's list, the city's largest homeless camp, taking over Brookmeade Park for about a decade, frustrating those who lived and worked near the West Nashville location.
Have you specifically visited the West Nashville homeless camp in Brookmeade Park?
I have.
How many times? I'm just curious.
Well, I get out that way, once a month.
Drugs, death, and crime that not only affected those in the park, but community members and nearby businesses.
The 3 words that I would describe Brookmeade when I went in there and until recently is pretty much desperation, drugs, and death.
In September of 2022, Mayor Cooper unveiled his $50 million plan to tackle homelessness. In November, Metro leaders announced Brookmeade Park would officially close January 4th. Months later, the cleanup continues, and there's no exact date on when the park will open to the public. Phase 1 of Metro's homeless plan ended in March of this year. The city closed the South Nashville camp in Wentworth-Caldwell Park, housing the 34 people who called it home. Today, business owners tell Fox 17 News they've seen a difference.
It will feel a lot safer because, without them being lingering around, you feel more comfortable just walking around.
The park closed in January. It's now not expected to open till late 2024. What's your reaction to this?
Mayor Freddie O'Connell has only been in office about 2 weeks, but he tells Fox 17 he's ready to tackle the homeless crisis.
Now, as we told you, Metro closed Brookmeade Park in January to clean up the mess, the remnants of the homeless camp there. Well, now Metro Parks tells Fox 17 News that park is not expected to reopen until late 2024.
As Fox 17 News' Caitlin Miller reports, the mayor says he still has questions for Metro Parks.
Several people who live in West Nashville near Brookmeade Park have told Fox 17 News that they're concerned about the timeline of events to reopen the park. They first saw this chart from Metro Parks at a meeting this week. Metro Parks say the park won't reopen until the fall or winter of 2024. So we went to Mayor Freddie O'Connell.
The park closed in January. It's now not expected to open till late 2024. What's your reaction to this?
I am looking to our Parks Department to see what can be accelerated, but it took us a while to get funding. I know it's still on the schedule, on track, and I'll say, coming into office, we had transition briefings looking at this, but I've got my own questions about the schedule, and we're going to continue that conversation with me asking those questions.
We reached out to Metro Parks about the timeline, and their spokesperson says that these steps must be taken to ensure the park is safe before it reopens. Metro Parks will also replace the boardwalk, bridge, and overlook. But community advocates like Dee Dee Bird are not happy with how Metro Parks has handled this.
That's the very first time in 2.5 years that we've had any kind of interaction with them like that. And even though we do appreciate it, it has been slow walked, it has been neglected, the money has been misappropriated.
Bird says a lot of this work could have happened months ago, and she's worried construction is going to take longer than what Metro has on its timeline. I'm Caitlin Miller, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Now, if Metro government has the money, additional amenities will be added to the Brookmeade Park based on community requests.
But some people are concerned $850,000 won't even cover what they're supposed to build.
That kid is not supposed to be here.
Right now, you're watching exclusive body camera video of 23-month-old Ariel Rose inside Brookmeade Park months before she died at a housing site.
Fentanyl toxicity killed this toddler back in November, and Metro Police continue to investigate the case as criminally negligent homicide. Fox 17 News' Amanda Chen pressing for answers, asking the city if they failed this little girl.
You can see behind me, Brookmeade Park looks a lot different now than it did a few months ago. And in just a few moments, you'll see the conditions this little girl had been living in months before she died.
An autopsy report shows a babysitter found 23-month-old Ariel Rose unresponsive at a rapid rehousing site last November. The examiner found Ariel had more than 12 times the lowest reported lethal dose of fentanyl in her system. Newly released body camera footage to Fox 17 News shows a Metro police officer frustrated when he sees Ariel at Brookmeade Park with her parents.
Jonathan, that kid is not supposed to be here.
It was just for a few minutes. They come over to visit me this morning. We took a nap, man. It's not staying here at all.
Why are you even here with that kid anyway? I've seen that child in here one too many times, and I am not happy.
At the time, Brookmeade Park was one of the biggest homeless encampments in Nashville, known for drugs, crime, and fires.
So you know I'm going to tell DCS that kid's here, right?
Yes, it's not staying here, I promise you.
I mean, there are a lot of things you could do that would be better than this.
Back in November, I spoke with Ariel's grandfather and uncle, who say they saw Ariel and her father living at Brookmeade.
It was traumatic. No child should live in those conditions.
The Rose's attorneys declined our request for an interview on this footage. The Metro officer says in the video he's had a history with Ariel's father and becomes even more concerned about what he sees.
There's a needle on the ground right here in front of the tent. That child is in danger in here.
Yes, sir. I guess having a father's not that important.
Well, having one and having one that plays the role correctly are two different things.
The Metro officer says he was going to report what he saw to the Department of Children's Services. A previous Fox 17 News investigation revealed family members, Metro's Homeless Impact Division, nonprofits, community members, and Metro Police all tried reaching out to DCS. So what did DCS do to try and help Ariel? Did the department fail her? The department tells Fox 17 News DCS responded to this location as a result of calls to the hotline. In cases similar to this, when children do not have a permanent address, it presents unique challenges for case managers attempting to locate a child.
Ariel's grandfather and uncle also want to hold the owner of the building and tenant accountable for Ariel's death and feel more could have been done to help prevent this. Reporting in West Nashville, I'm Amanda Chen, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
When it comes to the high cost of homelessness, there are real questions about whether the city is doing everything in its power to house those people who are living on the streets.
Well, one point of contention, Metro purchased pods during the pandemic, but the city never used them. At one point, a few were assembled and sat in the parking lot of the Nashville Rescue Mission. Fox 17 News' Kylie Walker explains where the pods are today.
After the city used more than $1 million in COVID dollars to purchase those pods back in 2021, it's really just been one big holdup. But Councilmember Aaron Evans says we are closer now than ever before to actually putting those pods to use. We first brought you the story back in 2021 about 108 housing pods not being used, tucked away in storage, even though the city spent more than $1.2 million of your federal tax dollars on the pods.
The mayor and the council are totally held accountable for what is happening.
Community members have been speaking out ever since, calling on the city to take action.
I would love to see those be operational. I would love to use those for a village that we could use to create a temporary transitional housing community.
Councilmember Aaron Evans says the biggest barrier the city faced was the green light from an engineer saying the pods meet city codes. Good news is, Evans said we finally got that sign off a couple weeks back. But the bad news, another holdup. Evans says the state fire marshal came back with a few questions that they want answered before they give final approval. So now we wait again for the engineers.
And I'm hopeful that because they seem to be pretty limited in scope, that the turnaround can be pretty quick.
Why did it take so long to get this letter signed by engineers in the first place?
Metro had contact with an engineer who was not charging us for his services. And so working into as a volunteer pro bono situation, it took longer than expected.
And to speed up that process, was that $1.2 million, available to get a new engineer?
That money was already spent on the actual structures themselves. So then that opens up a whole nother scenario of where would I get that money? Would I have to go to finance? Would they have to approve it, find it, all that stuff? And so it felt faster to continue down the path with our volunteer services.
Evans says she hopes to have those answered questions by next Tuesday before various stakeholders meet for a communication plan. As of now, Evans said she would like to see the pods in use by the peak of winter. Evans says next steps after that, they'll have to figure out where these pods will go. She anticipates they'll go out into the community or with churches and nonprofits. I asked her if the city is ready to face backlash to those community members who don't want these pods in their neighborhoods. She says they will only be dispersed in pairs of 1 to 2 and not a whole community of pods. In Nashville, Kylie Walker, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Fox 17 News has relentlessly covered the high cost of homelessness for 2 full years now. To see our previous reporting all in one place, just scan the QR code right there on your screen.
Fox 17 News is committed to covering the high cost of homelessness.
And you can track the progress both on air and online at fox17.com.